Hello everyone, let's do something different today. I thought because most of you who has watched my channel, you play Victoria 3 and this is Hearts of Iron 4, but it's a mod. The Great War Redux mod. It's a mod to play the First World War. So let's just look at the options here. That's probably fine. So this is a mod. I thought like many of you might have played the Hearts of Iron 4, but maybe you don't know the First World War so good. The First World War is as I see it, Victoria 3 leads up to the First World War, and the First World War is not really modeled so good in Victoria 3. It was a huge conflict. They call it the war to end all wars. And of course, as you know, it had a huge significance. It was much more important than anything that happened during like if you play Victoria, you play from maybe 1830 to 1910 or so. Then it's like a new era here with the First World War. So let's go. I'm going to go for a new game here. There is two starts. One that starts when the war starts, and one that covers the lead up to the war. I think I'm going to go for the lead up to the war. I'm going to play it relatively quickly. The game is yeah, I will talk about the war, but as you can see here, 14th of June 1914, the July crisis. The drums of war are beating fervently. In the next year, a war is expected to break out, at the very least. France and Russia against Germany and Austria-Hungary. If more powers end up getting involved, the conflict could be the largest war the world has ever seen. And it became the largest war. A lot larger than, for example, the Napoleonic Wars that was just before Victoria 3 started. One thing is certain, for many countries their very existence is on the line. And here is the build up to the war, because I will have a lot of time to start talking for the reasons of the war. I think a lot of people doesn't really understand. I've read a lot of history books about First World War, so I think I kind of understand like the dynamics why it started. So let's read here. The power kid of Europe. 1910 is a challenging time for the peace in Europe. The Italians are preparing for a war with the Ottomans, which will threaten their hold in the Balkans. Rebellion in Morocco is beginning to boil over, much to the anguish of France and to the delight of the German Empire. All in all, either clear heads will be needed to keep the peace, or strong hearts to win the war. So here are the playable countries. Historically, it will be a bit hard to understand these mods. I will explain shortly what happened historically in the war. So what happened was that Germany and Austria-Hungary, both of them are German-speaking people, so it makes a lot of sense that they are friends, because both of them speak the same language. Because of the risk of these two, the Germans, as you know, the Germans is the second largest population group, culture group in Europe after the Russians. So because the French and the Russians, they made an alliance because they were to contain the German people, the Germans and the Austro-Hungaries. So what happened was that the Crown Prince Franz Ferdinand of his, I believe it must be his son, Franz Josef's son, he was assassinated by the Serbs in a terrorist murder, and because of that, the people of Austria and also Franz Josef, they were angry at the Serbs, which is this little country here, this country. So they demanded war reparation and apology, basically, and they didn't want to do it. The Serbs didn't want to do that. So what happened was that for some reason, I think this leader here, Wilhelm II of Germans, I think he was like on vacation. The German leader was on vacation. So because he was on vacation, his chief of staff, they told the Austrians like we're allied, and they gave them something known as a blank card. You can do whatever you want. We're going to support you, without the this leader Wilhelm was like without him. So the Austrians they made an ultimatum against Serbia, and the Russians said we're going to support the Serbians, so don't accept, because the Russians said we will support you. And this was a time of war plans, because it's not like now. There was no TV, no like there were telephones, telegraphs, and basically a lot of plans. So the Germans had one plan, the Austrians had one plan, the Russians had one plan, French had one plan. So all the big nation had like a clear war plan. What happens if there is a major war in Europe? And because once these were activated, the people were drilled and learned you should do exactly like that. Like everyone in the society, they know. We don't know it nowadays, like what happened if there is a war. Like I have no idea what happened if my country gets into a war. But at this time it was very clear by the military system, we are going to do exactly this. So the Germans, they had a plan known as the Schlieffen Plan, and it basically said the Russia is a huge empire. It was huge already back then. It was huge. It was the large, it and the British Empire was the two largest countries. They were already at the Pacific Ocean. So the Germans said, if we're getting into war with France and Russia, then we will have to knock out France first, because we don't want to fight a two-front war. So we're going to invade France through Belgium, which is this little country here, and we're going to knock out France like they did in the Second World War. The Germans did the same thing, but there they defeated the French after 6 weeks. And as we will see in this game, it won't go that smoothly in the First World War. So this was the German war plan. It's known as the Schlieffen Plan. So it was 6 army groups. An army group is 100,000 men. It was 6 army groups going through Belgium and take Paris, and 2 army groups, I think, defending Poland against the Russians, because they thought it takes many months for the Russians to mobilize. The French, and once it's something known as the Black Week. Once that week started and every country started their war plans, there was just no calling back, because it was already set in motion. So the France had their war plan, which is known as the War Plan 17th, and that called for an offensive against the German region in Alsace and Lorraine, going through to Germany there. And so basically Belgium is like, they're a bit in the middle here for these war plans. The Austrian plan is known as the Conrad plan, and it calls to start to focus against Russia, moving, because they don't have a border with France, so it called for moving against Russia first. And the Russian, their plan takes a lot of time before they have mobilized. So this is basically the lead up to the war. So let's read the things here about the countries before we start. So let's first look at United States of America. Their leader is William Howard Taft. He's a Democratic, and they will have one election. So I think the American president will be called Herbert Hoover, I think. So let's look here. The United States, they're Democratic. They are in a progressive area. They are defender of American sphere. This is basically like the Monroe Doctrine, that they're isolationists and focus on their own hemisphere. They have a free banking system. That's good. They get more. Basically, they get more factories because they need less toasters, and they have 3 mission trees. One to get Pan-American alliance. If you choose big stick diplomacy, you can create your own alliance. So it's basically if they want to not join the Entente. So in the war, France, Russia is called the Entente, and Germans and Austria is called the Central Powers. And they have things against Mexico, and they have cult of the American nation, the freedom of the world. So let's look at the United Kingdom. The leader is Herbert Henry Asquith. He's Democratic. They will have an election quite soon. He's a liberal. And let's just read this one. While this is the American here. While Europe trudges closer and closer to war, and misery and peace and prosperity is in the way in the United States in 1910. The success of dollar diplomacy and the Roosevelt corollary, I don't know what that word means even, have finally secured Latin America from European powers once and for all. The Philippines have been pacified for good. Yeah, you know, the American became the masters of the Philippine nations. They took it from Spain in the War of 1897, I think. It would be foolish to be blind to Europe, but for now America is safe for build-up. Okay, let's read about England here. They're also democratic. They have Lords are in opposition. They have a House of Lords. The House of Lords being frustratingly opposed to our government. They are continuously blocking bills and acts and have brought the lawmaking effectively to a halt. Increasingly, it is being believed that radical action is going to have to be taken to rein them in, unless they change their attitude and change it quickly. They have overextension. They have a huge empire. After this war, because historically United Kingdom won the war, they got the largest empire by far that the world has ever seen, like in kilometers. So because of that, they gain less political power, but they have something called master impact, and it's basically that colonies like India and all the colonies want to get independent, but of course United Kingdom doesn't want them to get independent. And here fleet at rest, because they have such a big fleet. They have to repair it and stuff. Okay, so we have here the British are coming, and I think that's because it's like a power struggle. It's either United States or United Kingdom. They're the two most powerful nations in the world at this time. So it's like a power struggle among democracies, which is the most powerful nation. The Red Banner in London. Chaos engulfed the heart of our empire as Marxists and anarchists exploit our moment of vulnerability. The red banners unfurling across London. Reports flood in of Buckingham Palace fall, a symbol of our nation's peril. And then pro patria mori. There's honor and dignity in laying down one's life for one's country. Okay, let's read about it. The British Empire is still at its zenith, controlling a massive amount of territory in Africa, Asia, the Americans, through both direct rule and dominions. The United Kingdom still has one continent yet to be mastered, Europe. United Kingdom has few allies on the mainland, but none they are particularly fond of. They will be allied to the French, but who like the French? Of course, a good King Edward is surely not long for this world, and Crown Prince George has time to shake things up. What will the next king do for Britain's place in Europe? Okay, so let's read about France. Their leader is Briand. They're also democratic, and they will have an election before. Here they have memories of 1870, so they have less recruitable population and a worse surrender limit. The defeat of 1870 against Prussia remains lasting imprinted the memory of the French. As a result, national policy was defensive and cautious, far from imagining a direct confrontation with the German Empire. So Germany got united when they got Alsace-Lorraine from France in the battle at Sedan in 1870. And I think the leader of France, Napoleon III, he looked a little bit like this with this mustache. He was like, basically, he and others think that they were being cowards here at the 1870. But in this war, France will not be cowards. They will be super brave. Okay, so they have incompetent industry. France is a largely industrialized nation. Design processes and working methods are often not suited to modern industry. This loss of competitiveness can be explained in particular by the absence of an organizational model within large companies. And they have a disjointed government. The state of France politics is far from stable, while reforms are needed and welcome, and the nation is divided, and getting drawn into a conflict would be put at great risk. And here it is, the Plan 17. Following the defeat against Prussia, France carried out several mobilization plans intended to prepare the country in the event of conflict with Germany. And first they had defensive plans, but then they decided to use this one in the war, the War Plan 17, which calls for a major France offensive into Alsace and Lorraine. And they have l'union sacrée. War does not allow opposition within parliament. Government must be present and pass emergency laws. And the French miracle. There is one thing the Boches will never have: the French ingenuity. Our people are capable of incredible feats. So that's some kind of let's read here. In 1890, France was dealt a blow by the forming German Empire in crushing war which saw the loss of Alsace and Lorraine. This made impeccable enemy of France, who has been licking the wounds through the territory to the territories German-speaking. The French people will not let this humiliation stand. Fortunately, France diplomacy has built an entente cordial with the United Kingdom and Russia. when war breaks up, surely the Germans will crumble. And then here is Nikolai II. He is the leader of Russia. They are an authoritarian regime, and they are the defender of autocracy. They were getting humiliated in the war against Japan. Japan defeated Russia 1907 or something like that, despite Russia being like a much larger. They were like they got destroyed by the Japanese in a naval war. That's really the Battle of Tsushima was humiliating for Russia. We lost all its battleship and most of its cruisers and destroyer, and they lost the war against Japan. And they also have the threat of revolution. The movements of the socialist revolutionaries, Bolshevik and Medievals plan to overthrow the Tsar dynasty and establish a republic. However, each movement has its own views on that the future republic should look like, and probably the political struggle will not end with one revolution. So, as you know, Russia lost the war because they got into a civil war. And they are unity of the Entente and the Russian people, and they have some revenge war plans against Japan. Let's read about Italians. They are also a democratic party. So in the beginning they had something called the Central Powers here with these four guys to the right here. But as you probably know, Italy didn't want to support the war, and they actually went in on the Allied side because they wanted help to take the Austrian parts of Italy. So it might happen in our game also, we have to see. They are sluggish industrialization. They can join factions, but yeah, this disagreement with the Triple Alliance. These three are Triple Alliance. Italy is in the Triple Alliance and is obliged to join the war on the side of Germany and Austria-Hungary. However, the Italian government follows a policy of neutralism and strongly opposed to support the Germans. Yeah, those damn neutrals. With the enemy, you know where you have them, but with the neutral, who knows? And they also have bad industry. And it seems like they have ambitions in the Balkans and in Libya. Italy is did I read Russians? I don't think I read Russian. Let's read the Russians first. Recent years have not been kind to the Russian Empire. I think so. Recent years have not been kind to the Russian Empire, with a major military defeat at the hands of Japan, followed by a revolution that forced the once invincible Tsar into a constitution. The Russian government must get back on its feet and prove its strength again, or risk revolution. Luckily, the Balkans are turbulent again. The crumbling Ottoman Empire is Russia's opportunity to expand and create new puppet state, and more importantly, prove it's still a world power. Italy is the smallest of the third of Triple Alliance, which she has little faith in. Austria-Hungary, Italy's natural rival, is now a friend in the world treaties, but a rival, because Austria-Hungary has Italian lands where there live Italian people who speak Italian. After all, Italian irredentism still decreased. The Austria-Hungary held the Dalmatian coast as Italian. For now, however, there are more pressing matters. War plans with the Ottoman Turks are already being drawn up. Their government predicts a short, decisive war. Italy should prove their power. And then we have the evil guys, the Central Powers here. They are also authoritarian. They are part of the House of Hohenzollern. And they have general staff. They have in this game, it's a bit different than regular Hearts of Iron. So they have, for example, this known as the battalion count limit, because this is like a war where the defender has an advantage. If you have a lot of divisions dug in a lot of places, that's just an advantage. So Germans have general staff. They have division attack, planning speed, and also more divisions. And they have this naval arms race. Like Germany was in a naval arms race against United Kingdom. All of these, United Kingdom, France, Germany, all of them have colonies in Africa. But German fleet is much smaller than United Kingdom and France. So once the war started, it was impossible for Germany to send ships to their colonies, basically. And they also have, they could choose, Germany had colonization ambition both in Africa and in Asia. They have a war with France and something else. Let's see here. What was once 35 different independent nations is now the German Empire, seen by many as one of the world's foremost powers, if not the strongest of them all. However, there are many who trifle with such a state. The German enemy of France has formed the triple entente of themselves. The UK and Russia are far stronger than Germany's own weak allies. With just old Austria and disloyal Italy, Germany needs more friends or more power. And I'm going to play Austria-Hungary, so that's why I'm doing Ottoman now. Ottomans are also authoritarian. They doesn't have the Osmanuglus. They are out of power now. They are someone else. I'm not so sure about the Ottoman, but they get defeated here, and then I think they get Ataturk as a leader. They still have an empire here, but yeah, historically they were get destroyed by the British in the Middle East, so they lost all their colonies. Let's read here. They're sick man of Europe. The fading Ottoman Empire experienced major political and economic shock in the recent decades, losing its influence on the distant regions of the country, sinking into debt. The empire has received this insulting nickname, the sick man of Europe. They have some better officers, get some planning bonuses, and they have they are masters of a lot of nations that doesn't want it. Like the Balkan people are Christians, they don't want to be part of the empire. The Kurds, the Armenians are also Christian, and the Arabs, no one wants to be part of their empire. And we will see when we go through that there is a lots of fighting in the Balkans before the First World War. So we will have a lot of interesting things to watch here. And they still have the Sultan, and they are like, historically they were like just a few hundred years ago they were the most powerful country in the world, or at least one of those. Let's read that. Storm clouds are gathering over Constantinople. Serbia, Greece, Bulgaria have been scheming together, likely to try to claim territory they rightfully claim at us. The Albanians are close to revolt. The Italian government is also very publicly contemplating conquest of Tripolitania. The loss of territory is nearly invisible. Ottoman diplomacy should therefore be to secure the capital. Yeah, there was, I think, Russia attacked the Ottoman Empire around 1898 or something like that. So we will see that a lot of the Balkan bros are already independent. So I'm going to play Franz Joseph of Austria-Hungary. They are the part of the House of Habsburg. Habsburg once ruled the world, but now they're only left here in Austria. Have some more battalions because of that. That's good. We have Hungarian opposition. We gain less political power. Multi-ethnic army. So we have a very bad army because we have so many ethnicities in our country. We have three mission trees. WW1 anti-Serb policies. The Serbs who will start the First World War is something that we work against, and we have problem with the army. So let's see here. The Pig War was the culmination of the deterioration of relation between Austria-Hungary and Serbia. Since it's no longer possible to get close to them, we have to launch a demonization campaign against them. The army question crisis. The subject of the army became political when Hungarian officers demanded that the language become a standard within the Hungarian corps. I guess they speak German in the corps. Currently the command is only in German. This crisis has totally immobilized any reform because of the constant blockage posed by this leading question. And a necessary purge to exact justice. Many of the elites are corrupt, sucking out the empire and must be purged. We'll purge the corrupt elites and more to help stabilize the country after the recent uprisings ended. The last century was a curse to the Austrian throne. Humiliation after humiliation was thrust upon her, from the rampage of Napoleon to the unification of Germany by the Prussians. Venerable old Kaiser Franz Josef now stands as a notable member of the Triple Alliance with two of her own enemies. But surprisingly, this has gone well for Austria so far. The Habsburg has inherited Bosnia, and the people of Hungary is placated. Okay, so these are the major powers. The only other important ones is the Serbs, who will start the war. They are democratic. And let's read about this Pig War. The Pig War is the name of the trade war between Serbia and Austria that has been waged almost 5 years. The direct spark for it was the artillery question in 1905, when the Serbian government refused Austrian artillery in favor of the French. As a result, Austria has closed its border for Serbian imports and exports. Since main Serbian export was livestock, mainly pigs, this trade got named the Pig War. It forced Serbian government to look outwards for export, but unlike when exporting to Austria, Serbian nation can't export alive livestock, so the trade war forced Serbia government into start industrialization. Serbia is seen as the outsider, as a backward minor nation, nothing more than a pawn in the great game of the world empires are playing against each other. Of course, the empires of the world may sooner than they think that the Serbs are destined for greater things. Currently, most Serbs live outside our borders, in Austria-Hungary or in Turkey. If we're going to make a deal with the devil, the Bulgarians, the Serbs may again begin their road for glory to unify Serbia. Then we have the Tsardom of Bulgaria. They got free from the Ottoman Empire, and they are looking to expand. And the other very important power here is Belgium. Belgium is between a rock and a hard place. The rock being the French, and the hard place is the Germans. So yeah, the Belgians didn't have fun because they got hit from both sides, both by Germany and France. Okay, so let's start. We're going to play Austria. I'm going to go regularly. I usually play Iron Man mode, but just because of the streaming, I'm gonna take that off, and I'm going to go for historical focuses. I'm going to just play in regular. I used to do that. That's just so I don't get any advantage or any disadvantage. So let's start. So I'm going to do a little bit of a tutorial here because the first time I played this game, so maybe you need to have a little bit overview. So these are all my troops. The war will start here. our Crown Prince Franz Ferdinand was here. He got murdered by the Serbs. Then we will declare war. But because, as you can see, there are hills. It's hard to invade because it's quite a defensible territory. And this game is a World War I game. Defenders have the advantage. So it will become a war here against the Serbs. And this will look different because the Tsar, the Emperor of Bulgaria, will do a lot of things here. But I won't spoil it. We'll see the events when it happens. Then there will be war with Russia here. And Germany will fight Russia. Germany will also fight France. And they will go through the Ardennes, which is this forest here, the Ardennes. They will go to try to go to Paris through Belgium. And French will try to go here. And Germany will only have 2 armies here with their famous generals Hindenburg and Ludendorff. Let's see here. Here is our Kaiser. We have a lot of these stuff here. I think I talked about this already. So let me just do here. This game is played by, you always shows a focus, and it's like there's lots to choose from. Basically, we can expand the industry, or we can do this one. This one gives political power. This one gives factories. Let's go with the factories. I played this one, but it was quite a long time ago, so I don't remember. Like I had some things like what's optimal route and or whatever. Our chief of staff will be called Konrad. Let's see if I find him here. Here, Franz Konrad von Hötzendorf. He will be our leader of the army, and he has this plan. So let's see here. We still have a civilian economy, so we are focusing on making toasters. So it would be good to go down here as soon as possible. We have export focus, and we have limited conscription. We are lacking manpower and a lot, and it's hard to go here because in this game it's hard to do mass mobilization. I remember that. So let's see here. This, if it has this symbol, it means that it's out of supplies. I should move this guy. Let's move him here maybe. And if you press this one, they will take the railway. This looks like the only one that's out of supply for now. So let's go for research. We have 3 slots. Industry used to be good to start with, so let's do that. Construction speed, and we already have electronics, so let's go for this one. And I did go industrial expansion, that's fine. Here you build your industries. Often in these kind of games, the Hearts of Iron, you want to build a few years building civilian infrastructure, because we only have basically we have 16 civilian factories, but because we are in civilian economy, most of our factories, 8 of our factories is making toasters. So you don't want to make toasters. So basically we're gonna build, you want to build where it has like this high number here, it builds faster. So that's just, I'm just gonna queue up some of these. It will probably I won't have time to build everyone, so let's start with that. I will have to cancel them later, but you can cancel them at no cost. Here is our factories. We are making infantry equipment 1, which is it's 1910. So that's one we want to do. The problem for us is that we do not have any rubber, so basically in World War II we could make a lot of like armored car. We can't make it because we want, after the war starts, no one will we can't get any rubber because we will get blockaded. So, and it's not so useful to build like these trucks. Like we want to do it, but we don't have any rubber, so we won't be able to do it when the war starts because the British will blockade our colonies. British and French will blockade, and we don't have any colonies, but we could import from Germany. But so what we have here, we have artillery, 2 different kind of artillery. We can make guns, we can make support equipment, and artillery. Could make a lot of ships. I have to look at this later. And then it's the same thing here. It's no use for us to go for air forces because it takes rubber, and we won't be able to get any rubber. So we are going to make a ground army. We're going to make infantry kits. So they will look like this. And we will make field cannons. And we will make howitzers. What's the difference here, you might think? Basically the difference is that it requires, I'm not really sure what the difference is. This is a small cannon, this is a heavy cannon. Let's see here. This is the heavy cannon. It has 15 soft attack, 10 production costs. And also this heavy howitzers. I guess this one can be mounted on a tank, basically. So let's see on this one. So this is 10 soft attack, 6 defense. This one requires 1 more iron. 6 defense, same reliability, same, but this one only costs 4. This costs 10. 10 for 15. To me it looks like this one is better actually. Feels like this is much cheaper. Feels like the field cannon is better. So that was that. So now we should decide what we should build. We need infantry kits. We only have 1 free, so let's just make 1 more kit then. And this is the ships. I'm just gonna let them finish everything, and I will think about this later. It looks like we have too little chromium, so let's look at the trade here. We're lacking chromium. We are lacking tungsten. This needs tungsten. Who else needs tungsten? Okay, we're only 1 too little tungsten here. Let's just, I'm gonna delete that one then, and I'm going to put 1 here. Now we don't have a shortage of tungsten. And what about the chromium? This one needs chromium. I'm just gonna import chromium so we can build the ship. No, what happened? Okay, we have 7 tungsten. So let's just, I'm just gonna disband this one. So let's just build these ones now. And chromium, I'm gonna import chromium. So you basically want to import from people that, because they will get this industry that we are importing. So let's import from Germany, I guess. No. Let's go for Ottoman Empire then. Okay. No, that should be fine. And I'm also importing oil, I think. No, I have oil. Let's see. I'm not importing anything now, right? Okay, that looks fine. We have low manpower, I know that. Chromium, we are importing that. And we're building some old ships, that's fine. So I think we should also build intelligence agency. Let's just wait with that maybe. Research is done, trading is done, construction is done. So this is our divisions. Let's just look at them. We have support artillery here. So we will need to make a support artillery to being able to build this. This is like the regular infantry division. Here is one more. It also has artillery. It's a little bit smaller. Otherwise it's the same. And we have the cavalry division here. It also has artillery and cavalry. Because we won't build tanks, then cavalry could be important for faster divisions to if we make some kind of a breakthrough so they can hold land. And we have this one, it's a very, very large division of mountaineers. It has also support artillery, and the Landsturm division is it's a garrison division with militia here. Okay, so I think this is good overview for the first game. It's May 1910. Next episode we're gonna start the clock. See you then.